Welcome to the Friends2Gether podcast. Friends2Gether, of course, is, as Molly's about to explain to you, what's the purpose of the project, Molly?
John, in fact, does know the purpose of the project, but he gets me to do it anyway.
It's a rhetorical question.
It is.
Bringing people together to learn new things, improve their self-confidence through different means, and one of them is our podcasting group.
To be creative and fun, so let's be creative and fun, everybody. Do I have your confirmation today that you're prepared to be creative and fun?
You got mine.
I guess we should introduce who's in the room because you just heard them all being happy about being here. So let's go around the room. So we've got Phil to my right. Hello, Phil.
Hello. How you doing?
We have Em.
Hello, everyone.
We've got EJ again.
Good day.
Good day.
Australian.
The Australian
confusing
EJ.
us.
We've got Sonia.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
And we have
good
Molly.
Good afternoon now, isn't it? Sorry.
Good enough.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It is afternoon. Yes, it is afternoon. One of my great plans in life is to stop saying until I started editing podcasts, I didn't realise how much I said
Yeah.
And I spent the first podcast we put out, I think I must have spent 2 days getting rid of ums from. So some people some people some people are. Yeah, you can spot them on the screen, so I can go through and get rid of the ums and ahs. Did I just do it again?
Are they recycled or just? Yeah.
No, they're deleted forever.
I'm going to make a tally of how many
Yeah,
times
let's
John
do
that. During this
You got
podcast.
Molly's
Where's
interest
my
now.
pen? Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, this is interesting to the listeners, I'm sure. So, the purposes of the podcast today, so we were going to talk about your first impressions of Oasis, in fact. So we'll start with Phil, actually. We'll go around the same order as we introduce people. So can you remember the first time you were aware of the entity that was Oasis and when you first put your foot through the door, Phil? Can you remember when and who you met? And
Yes. Well, we were introduced to it through someone called H, and they recommended the yoga.
Okay.
So we came along, and there was this really cavernous building. You thought, well, this is enormous. And I remember little Ben being on reception. He was quite interested. He was probably the first very, very overwhelmed by the atmosphere and the niceness of everyone, but also the otherworldness of it, because the Bagnall Centre especially was just so big, and it seemed like all these little rooms, and each one
Labyrinth, wasn't it?
Yes. It was quite magical, really, like you stepped off into a sort of Narnia type.
For the first couple of weeks that I worked at the building, even when I was going up onto the other floors, I had no idea where I was going, where the doors went, and it took me a good couple of weeks to get to grasp with the layout of the building and stuff when you were sort of going to see people or going up to different floors and stuff.
Floors, lifts, there's little goods lift, all sorts of...
There was, and the studio, which you're describing there, where you did yoga, that actually used to be a gym in its previous incarnation, so it was full of gym equipment and stuff like that, so it was, and it was kind of all wooden floored, wasn't it, for a dance studio. I think they had some dancing and stuff, but it's perfect for yoga, wasn't it?
It had a heated underfloor heating.
It did, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Under soil heating, as I called it.
Yeah.
But the thing with that was, I feel, you had to kind of book it in 24 hours in advance. If you knew it was going to be cold the day before, you'd leave it on, but if suddenly it would have a heat wave or something, you'd have this boiling floor.
It was very warm.
Roasting the whole building, and it wasn't
building.
needed, basically, so you needed to set it the day before, so it was a bit of a pain in the bum.
But it was all like that, full of sort of slightly strange rules.
It was.
Sort of Kafkaesque feel to it in a way.
And shout out to Courtney, who will be listening to the podcast, who absolutely hated it being hot in that building.
Yeah, so she was forever mucking around with the thermostat, turning it up a notch and down a notch, because it obviously didn't apply till the next day, so she was trying to get the right heat and stuff.
She just looked like she was hot all
you're
the time.
Right. You're right.
Yeah, we were actually one of the designated heat zones for the council, weren't we?
Like a warm hub.
Warm place,
space.
a warm hub, yeah. Can you remember your first time you set foot in the door? I think you met with our Zoe, didn't you, I believe?
Yeah. I was battling with addictions, as you know, and I was attending Aylesbury, and somebody mentioned that, in Chesham there is music going on and this and that. So I grasped the opportunity, I attend.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Yeah, I remember that the first time you met, because Zoe came straight in to see me. She goes, I've just met this guy, M, and you'll love him. He loves music, and I've given him your details, and I think you sent me an email the same day, and I was in one of my groups, actually, and the persistence of the man, I hadn't replied that afternoon, and then the next morning he was like, I haven't heard back from me. I was like, this guy's going to be a pain in my backside, I can tell.
As always.
As always, yeah. But yes, then we finally met, and the rest is history. We love each other, don't we?
Yeah.
It's match
Don't
made
take
in
it the
heaven.
wrong way.
EJ, can you remember the first time you came to a group with Em?
I think I came the first time to Brew and Biscuits.
Yeah, I think so, because I remember
think.
playing chess.
Yeah.
And Em introduced me to and we had a game of chess, didn't we?
Yeah.
I won, didn't I, Em?
Oh dear, that's another example
You
of
remember
the Y
that? The
chromosome.
first three, I think I won, and then Em slowly started, the Empire Strikes Back, wasn't it?
She was just letting you, she's pulling you into the hustle.
Well, there was one, I think the first game we had was hotly contested, wasn't it, Em? And then we ran out of time at the end of the group and we had to like fold down our pieces.
Yeah, and then I let you win.
You let me win, of course. Yeah. Sonia, can you remember your first
Yes.
encounter with us? How did you hear about us, and can you remember walking in the door the first time?
I didn't
Two
know
questions there.
anything about Oasis or the Bagnall Centre or anything. I'd been at the job centre and a lady there had said, because basically I've been out of work for some time and COVID didn't really help and I was just shutting myself away. So this was me kind of trying to make a start of making a new life and everything after COVID. And I'd been to the job centre and she'd said, well, she'd mentioned about the Bagnall Centre and they do all sorts of things there. And she said, that's what I would do if I wasn't working. And she said, you never know, you might even be able to volunteer there, to get something on your CV. So anyway, I came along. I was walking back to the car and I thought, shall I, shan't I? Okay, yes, I'll do it. And I walked into the Bagnall Centre. And I think Michelle was the first lady I spoke with in reception. And she was so kind. So I'm feeling quite tearful about it now. I actually broke down and I realised that actually I didn't need to volunteer. I actually needed some help. So that's kind of how it all started, really. I was actually in a very dark place at the time, very, very dark. And the first session I went to was probably Brew and Biscuits as well on the Wednesday. But I found it too noisy because I was living on my own.
Yeah.
And it was just too much for me. It was too overwhelming. So I also went on the Friday walks as well. I started in the Friday walks just to get out and meet people. And also the art box.
Oh, you came to the art box?
Yeah, I came to the art club, the art class as well, which was great. I mean, my background is art and design, but my creativity has just gone completely out the window because I've been having to concentrate on doing like all the practical stuff. So
rat catching and
yeah. But so that's it really has been an absolute life changer for me. I can't tell you just how much it's meant to me, really.
That's a wonderful story.
So
and you've been more than welcome, Sonia. You've been a great guest of ours.
Oh, and of course, and then I started. So and another phase that happened. I mean, John very kindly said that he would help me with podcasting. I'm more interested in the technical side of it rather than the actual content. So we started podcasting together, which was quite interesting. I really enjoyed that.
And we went through ech week how to set up the mics and the equipment and everything, didn't we? And the software and everything. Yep.
So I'm really grateful for that. And then John said, "Well, why don't you come to the group?" And I did. And of course, just before Christmas, you said you were going to be doing Christmas carols.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I haven't played, piano or anything for a long time, or sung. I used to sing a lot when I was a kid. I used to do songwriting and
Madonna
been to Decca. I actually went. Confession time. I actually went to Decca Studios once. So yeah.
Have you still got the recording?
No, we didn't record. I was just sort of promoted to somebody with one of my songs. But anyway, that was a long time.
What was it called?
14.
Can you remember? Can you remember what it was called?
Of course I can, but no, I'm sorry, you're not going to. It's not going to come
what's
out.
the name of the song?
If there's any of my school chums listening, you know exactly which song I mean because they all used to sing it.
Was it a cover or was it an original?
No, it was original. I used
wow.
to write. Yeah,
You wrote it?
Yeah, I used to write poetry was really my entry.
Every time I meet you,
But I
I
used
find
to
this new chapter in your life. It's just amazing what you've done.
Yeah, but anyway, so John mentioned about the Christmas carols, and I thought, because I love Christmas carols, so I came along to sing, and then Vanessa was playing this little keyboard.
Yeah.
And halfway through, she said, "Oh, Sonia, you can have a go. You play." And I thought, "Oh my gosh, I wouldn't know what to do." But I've played guitar as well. So on the screen, John had the guitar chords, so I know how to translate guitar chords into piano keys.
Yeah.
And then so I've been joining your jamming session on Thursday afternoon.
The carol singing was great, wasn't it? I think everyone here was at that one. It was really good atmosphere. It was just the right tone, wasn't it?
That was a fabulous thing.
Best things come from accidents, don't they? So the first song we were supposed to sing, and the girl that was in the group chose a song, and then I started playing it, and she didn't join in where she was supposed to. So we went all the way through the song, and it made us have a conversation with the group saying, look, everyone's going to have to join in here, it's not just me singing to you, it's a group thing, and everyone's got to sing in. And then the second song, everyone just banged straight in and started singing, and it was just a really good atmosphere, wasn't it? And a really good vibe.
Yeah, I think it was one of my favourite times at Oasis. One of the best things that we've done was that carol concert. It was lovely. Everyone was happy and having a great time, and just the
and
positive.
even April sang. April swears that she doesn't sing in public because she hates her voice that much, and Molly caught her singing at one point. So one of the Christmas carols.
It was a really lovely event. It was just it was just so nice, very Christmassy and very community spirited.
It was. The only drawback to that was that at the end of the night, it was a bit of a rush to close down, wasn't it? And then everyone was kind of left before I got a chance to speak to everyone at the end of the night, because everyone was kind of hanging around to have a quick chat to say how much they'd enjoyed it and stuff, and I didn't get to speak to everyone as much as I'd have liked, which is the only drawback. I remember AD, my able second in command for the carol thing, coming over to me halfway through going, "This is going better than we could have even planned it." And I was thinking exactly the same thing, thinking, yep, better than we could have ever hoped, to be honest. Yes, I remember you saying to me, Sonia, that you're not doing anything Christmassy this year.
No.
And I said, we've got a carol concert coming up.
And I love Christmas carols, but I don't particularly want to go to church. Do you know what I mean? It was just... And it's not just carols, it's Christmas songs and things with that kind of influence.
Yeah, we didn't just restrict it to carols. We did all the classics like White Christmas. Yeah. Now, what's the George Michael one, EJ? Is that White Christmas? Last Christmas, yeah. And it gave us an opportunity to play... Yeah. What's that other George Michael one that we always do? The really famous one where you sing the high bits at the end. Da, 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 da. Careless Whisper. Careless Whisper, yeah.
Couldn't think of the name.
Yeah. And Molly, can you remember first seeing the name Oasis, or how you sort of came across the job, or where you saw it applied, or how you heard about it?
Wait, have you told your story?
I'm going to get to me now.
Have you told it before on the podcast?
We have, but I'll tell it again.
Cool. I don't know. I can't remember how I saw the job. Came into Bagnall and had my interview, and it was a very interesting interview, let's just put it that way. A few of the questions, you always prepare for an interview. They always tell you to have some scenario questions prepared. So give us an example of when you've done this, or give us an example of when you've done that. So you have to have a few prepared. But my God, they asked me about 15 questions saying, give us a time when you did this, give us a time you did that. I'd literally run out by about 20 minutes in. I was like, I wasn't expecting them to be so many of those questions. But it was very nice, got a very nice feel for the place. Colin and Jenny were very lovely, and the tour was great. And started from there, really. I remember my first day coming in, I started on a Thursday, and I went to Zoe's sewing group, and she had one person at her sewing group, and I thought, oh my God. And now you fast forward a year and a half, and she's got like 20 people who come to her sewing group. So it just shows you how much things have picked up in the last year and a half, which is amazing. And I just things like that. Brew and Biscuits was quite quiet, but now it's,
Well, similar to my jamming group, you had to persuade me to carry it on, because the first, I think, jamming group was just me and Em, wasn't it? I believe. The first ever jamming group. And then we were like, well, people aren't going to come to this. It was like Wayne's World, wasn't it? If you book it, they will come, kind of thing. And I was like saying to Molly and Jenny, no one's going to come. Like, it's a silly idea. And they were like, just persevere with it. And that's our most well-attended group, isn't it? We regularly get like 16, 17 people. I mean, the Christmas thing, we had like 30, I think.
But that's the thing, you have to start somewhere.
You do, yeah.
It always has to start.
It's not going to start immediately.
Well, me and Sonia started on the very first podcast. It's just us two, wasn't it? And we said, it will grow
organically. I mean, now we've kind of grown to our limit here because we've only got 6 microphones, so we're 6 people is our kind of limits to some level.
It's time to get a
bigger desk. Yeah, one of those massive desks that they've got at Decca Studios. Maybe you can have a word with your mates at Decca and see if they've got a 32 track or something. But then we'll have to buy another 28 microphones or something. Yeah. So a lot of the groups grew from nothing. It's interesting to see, isn't it? Looking back. I was really not keen, was I, at all, to do the jamming group?
No, I had to twist your arm to start a couple of the groups because you were like, no one will care about that. And
I thought you'd like that.
Well, the thing, my reservation was, Phil, that I'd been to these open mic nights at pubs and there's a certain snobbery involved in it that you have to be a certain level to get up and play, or you have to be a professional, and the people that are running the thing, and there's a bit of snobbery from them as well. They're like, if you ask them, oh, do you know this song? And they were like, no, I don't know it, because they don't want to play it, basically.
Because they're not
there's a
perfect
certain,
at it.
because they don't know it, basically. They're trying to cover for their own inadequacies. So I decided to use my insecurities about why I didn't want to do it to flip it as a positive and to make that group everything that I would like to go to if it was me, and not try and reduce that snobbery and that attitude when you go into a group that, oh, I'm not good enough to go to that group. So everyone's welcome at our groups, even if they just want to have a cup of tea and listen to us, or shake a maraca, shake a tambourine, sing, don't sing, listen. Yes, a lot of people listen, sit at the back and listen. We've got people that play with knitting needles. They grab knitting needles and they bang along on the table and stuff, just to join in and be part of it.
Because those groups are also social aspect.
Yeah, there is.
You know, you go to because it attracts you, whatever is being offered. But then you start getting to know the people. You become relaxed. You know the boundaries. You can joke around.
Yeah.
You know, so you feel comfortable.
The idea is of the project that me and John run is so that you get to know people and learn things from other people. And the social aspect of it.
It's very social. So 1 week, if anyone's missing, the next week, it'll be like, where were you last week, so-and-so? Or I noticed you weren't here this week. And then have a conversation around that as well. And one attendee said to me that day, I said this to Molly, he said he goes to a lot of mental health support groups in the area, and ours is the only one that he feels he can really be himself and say what he feels, and he feels totally comfortable, and he doesn't feel censored, and he can say what he wants, which I took as a real compliment, isn't it? Just
absolutely.
He said he was always afraid of what he says at some of the groups to be judged, or So I was.
I think that's a general comment.
In terms of that is really nice. I mean, the feel that people can be themselves without being judged is the most important thing. I mean, obviously we have things in place, but as long as someone feels like they can be themselves.
Willow was always big on that. Shout out to Willow in New Zealand as well.
She's back in a week.
Yeah, she's back soon. She is, yeah.
Oh, wow.
On holiday?
She's been travelling to New Zealand.
Very good.
She is amazing. Such an inspiration. Honestly, that woman is incredible.
Great guitar player.
And she's very open and really she likes to share a lot, and it's always really nice that she does.
And missed in our jamming group, because every time we get to a solo, Willow used to do a solo, and I used to just shout, "Go Willow, go!" And then she'd do a solo for like 5 minutes where the piece demanded it.
She's we get to that
part now, and we're like, Sonia, we've got anything on the keyboard?
Not really.
Em, have you got a bongo solo you can knock out here, or the knitting needles at the back there? But yes, I would be glad to have her back on board.
She's an incredible guitarist, isn't she? She's amazing.
And we've told my story before, but we'll tell it again because it is quite funny. So I, after lockdown, my CV was my background was all admin and customer service and stuff like that. I didn't like doing it. I'd done it for like 20 years, but after lockdown, I was thinking I should, try and find a job again now. Like the country's calming down again. So I started applying for admin and roles like that. So there was an admin role at Oasis, actually. So it's basically what Courtney was doing. So it was like running the front desk and dealing with all the inquiries that came in and stuff like that. So I got invited to an interview for that. Turned up, did no prep. I know you guys will find this hard to believe that if Michelle's listening, I did no prep or anything like that. So Colin said, "Do you know anything about Oasis?" And I said, "Yeah, you're a dentist, aren't you?" Because there's an Oasis like Bupa dentist thing. So I thought they were the dentist, and I could see them all shaking their heads. And they're like, have you not looked at our website or anything? I was like, of course I've looked at your website. Yeah, I remember I had like a dentist appointment with Oasis once. So they must have thought I was a right moron from that point in. But it made them laugh at least. So they were going through my CV and stuff. And
That's probably what endeared you to them.
Probably a lot of it. And also at the job centre, they had told me to take out. At the end of my CV, I had about my music, and I like playing guitar, and I'm in bands, and I like music production and stuff like that. And the lady at the job centre told me to take all that off. She said, no one needs to hear about that. Just put your job history on there and all this business. But I ignored her, and I left it on there, basically, because I thought that's the only kind of bit of personal character that you've got in your CV. Otherwise, it's just a list of achievements, isn't it? Which is boring. So I left all that on there. I ignored this woman's advice. And they noticed that... Colin, our CEO, loves music, so he noticed that I was in a band, and he talked to me about music for a bit. Obviously, didn't get the job because I thought he was a dentist and whatnot. And then on the way out, down the stairs, Teresa, who is our HR lady, she said, do you want a tour of the building? And I thought, not really. I haven't got the job. I just want to get out of here as soon as possible, get away, get home kind of thing. But out of politeness and... the fact that I'm a fan of a TV programme called Curb Your Enthusiasm, and then there's a whole skit in it where this woman offers him a house tour and he says no, and then ends up in a massive argument. So at the end of it, it's all like, always take the house tour if it's offered. So when Teresa said, do you want the tour of the building, I was thinking in my head, no. But so I remember this in my head going, take the tour, what have you got to lose? So I went in, and then we hit right into the music, sort of the second wing, if people remember the old Bagnall building. So the second floor had a podcasting room. So we went in there. Teresa showed me, we've got a podcasting room. I said, I do a weekly podcast on football. She's like, oh yeah, we're trying to get into that in a big way. Next door we opened was a music studio, and I was like, oh yeah, I record all the stuff for our band. I do self-produce all of our stuff, so I record and mix and edit all the stuff for our band. She's like, oh yeah, oh brilliant. And then the next room was like the room with all the instruments in. She's like, oh, I think Colin wants to get into offering guitar lessons soon as a nice easy access in our service, so people can take guitar lessons, come in, learn something they don't have to be too emotionally connected to, and then find out all about us when they've got their foot in the door. So I said, oh yeah, I've been playing guitar for 30 years. So after I'd left, Teresa relayed all this to Colin, and I got a phone call about an hour later saying, I understand you told Teresa you do podcasting and you can do guitar lessons and music production. So my son has been doing that for us at the moment, but he's going back to university soon, and I need someone to kind of pick up our media launchpad, they called it, and run with it what my son has started. So he said, do you want to come down tomorrow and have a chat, because I think you might be suited for this project rather than the one that we interviewed you for. So went down there the next day, had a look around the building, talked to Colin about music for ages and my background and stuff, and then the rest is history. Here I am. And the best thing was he gave me the freedom to put my project in place, basically. So we built the project around my particular skill set, so the things that I could do, what the skills that I could share with other people, and he gave me the wings to put together a project where I could host groups and sessions where I could pass on my skill set, basically. So there we are.
That's a wonderful.
And I didn't know places like Oasis existed.
No.
And I always tell people I've got the best job in the world.
I'd agree.
I get to be creative and hang around with the most wonderful people all day, like the service users. And everyone says to me it must be quite deep working with people recovering from addiction and stuff. But I always say to them, it's actually the complete opposite. I get to work with people who are at their best because they've been through rock bottom. They've been put back together, and then they're looking to rebuild their souls again. So they're very best people. They're just looking to get back into the world again, be creative, do music, do art, do podcasting, talk about their experiences and help others. So I get to meet people at their best, to be honest. It's when they're just looking to put themselves back together again, just putting their soul back together again.
It takes a lot for someone to walk through the door at Oasis, I think. I always think this. And just by attending a group or coming in for support is a massive step as a person. And therefore, people, like you say, when we talk about the type of people that we work with, they're the type of people who are exactly. They're the type of people who are open and willing to receive help and support and learn something new, and they are the best type of people to be working with.
May I add something to that?
Of course.
Imagine that when you're battling with addictions, and especially I can speak for myself, for 30 odd years, it comes a time that I always say that you check on your phone book or something, and all you see is people that they're using. So it's such a definition of Oasis, yeah. To have somewhere to go that, you know, you're gonna meet other people that they have their battles,
Similar
whatever they are
experiences,
in life, yeah. And you can like give yourself and improve yourself in any way, you know, because you didn't born an addict.
No.
Yeah. You became from different, each one of us in different ways, yeah. And each one of us has many addicted people, many people that battle with addictions. They have such amazing personalities and so many skills. Like some they are artistic, some they might be interested in music.
Yeah.
So imagine that all those years, those been left behind.
Yep.
So it's a nice
It's wonderful.
opportunity.
Well, I always say to people, in my first ever session with people, what did you used to do when you were young, before adulthood got in the way, before you started chasing women and men and drinking and all the stuff? What did you like doing? What was your passion in life? You know, was it music, sport, horses? And then I will say to them, why don't you do that anymore? There was a point in your childhood where you stopped doing that for the last time, that thing that you loved doing, whether it be music, playing the piano, horses, whatever. And for whatever reason, you just didn't do it anymore. So after you kind of trying to rebirth your soul somewhat, go back to what you love doing. And we help people. If it's netball, as some lady said to me, I used to love playing netball. So I said, well, why don't you play netball anymore? She goes, oh, I don't know. I said, well, I know a local club. Let's go and get you sorted in net. Let's get you back playing netball again. Oh, I'm too old for that. You're not. There's plenty of ladies older than you that play on that team. Let's get you going again. So it's getting them involved in what they loved doing before adulthood got in the way, kind of thing. Yeah. Bills and, you know, relationships and drinking and women, in my case.
I just think everyone should be really proud of themselves who come into Oasis. I think it's so powerful to have the autonomy to be able to be like, yeah, I want to do something new with my life. I want to revisit something that I used to know, or I want to try something new, and being, you know, there to have that support is such a big step, and a big step that a lot of people don't take. And that's why, what, like John says, what we do is so special to us, because everyone comes in and knowing that, you know, they want to be helped, and we can ask for better people to be able to do that with.
Yeah, it was amazing me when people say, oh, that must be intense or hard work. I'm like, completely the opposite.
Yeah,
no,
100%.
we get the people at their very best when they're looking to rebuild themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's important as well. Like in the Bagnall project, first coming, I went in and I saw how friendly and non-judgmental the people working there were, which there are many other places that you go in and you feel judged.
Snooty,
you hear them speaking about you, about other users when they've left.
Yeah.
So it makes you feel uncomfortable, whereas the Bagnall project was the complete opposite. It was welcoming and friendly and non-judgmental.
Another thing that Colin's big on is a holistic approach as well, what that actual person needs, what they like doing, and we'll try and help them to explore those skills or point them in the right directions. He's very big on holistic, so there's not one size fits all. Is that every person that comes in will follow this route? What do you like doing? That's why we have a chat with them. Zoe, our social prescriber, normally has a chat with them, finds out what kind of stuff they do and pinpoints them. It doesn't necessarily even need to be through Oasis, does it? She can pinpoint them to other groups or activity, like a netball team or whatever like that. If they like doing netball, we'll help them, put them in contact with that. So it's just a very holistic approach that we take at Oasis.
It's an extraordinary service. And I know I say this as coming from a staff member, but I've worked in a lot of charities before, and to be able to offer so much in one space is really unheard of. We've tried to run some things before that are independent from other services, and it just doesn't work. And it's, the model is perfect, you know, when you come in and you see, you know, you might come in for a guitar lesson, or you might come in because you like music, and then you realise that there's employment support, but you already know the people running it, so it's not then a massive step to go and get that employment support. It's a flow through the transition of your life. It can be different stages, And it can be that you want to revisit music, and then it can be that you want to maybe look for work, and then maybe you want to volunteer with us. You know, Oasis and the model that we've been able to have in Chesham has allowed us to be able to change people's lives through different stages of their lives. And I think that is something that has always been really positive.
Well, there was great thought behind, say, the guitar lessons. It was a way of people coming into our service because we offer counselling and addiction support and stuff like that. It was a way of having an easy way to come and engage with us, you know, like guitar lessons, I'll come and do the guitar lessons. Then when you're in reception, you kind of bump into Molly or one of the other people, and then you kind of see the people around, and you get comfortable with us. Obviously, it's not too emotionally intense. You're there for a guitar lesson. You're not there for the counselling or the addiction support. And then you got your foot in the door in a nice, easy way, haven't you? There was a great deal of thought behind it. Yeah,
it makes it approachable for people.
Yeah.
That's the idea, is that people feel like they can come and speak to us, and you recognise the faces. It's not like you're going somewhere off site where you just meet one member of staff. You get to know all the people who are working there, and I think that makes people feel a lot more comfortable. You know, if we were to put a new group on at Oasis, many of the people who already come wouldn't feel particularly anxious about attending that, because they know they'll recognise a face and the other service users' faces there.
Similar to the guitar lessons, the walking group feel that's a nice, easy access group, isn't it, for people to come and get involved? Can't they say it's a nice, easy one for them to come to for the first time, and then they get to know everyone around the place, and before sort of getting involved in some of the other groups.
And I do. If I see people at yoga, I think might be interesting. I can chat with them afterwards.
Yeah.
I have to say, I just wish that I'd had access to something like this all those years ago when I was begging for help.
Yeah.
But I fell through every single crack in the system.
Yeah.
I have to say, I don't have any experience of addiction or, alcohol or drug addicts or anything like that. But I really, really needed support. And every time I asked, oh no, we don't do things like that. No, we don't do things like that. And so when I walked through the door and I found, as I said, talking to Michelle that first day, poor thing, I was in reception and I was just in floods of tears. And I met Zoe shortly afterwards as well to give me some support. You know, you were just so welcoming and, as you say, non-judgmental. And it's, as I said, it's been an eye-opener, and I just wish, I don't live locally to here. I mean, I'm sort of in the area, but it's not on my doorstep. But nobody else knows about it. And, you know, it needs to be better publicised. It's not just about, for me, it's not just about drug addiction.
Well, as our CEO says, it's a recovery network.
Yeah,
and
it's
you can get recovery from isolation or loneliness as well.
Yeah. I have to, I will put it out there. The reason why I'm in the mess that I was I was suddenly bereaved. My husband died after 33 years of marriage. We were self-employed. We had a business partnership together, and I had no job at the end of it. So I was just kind of left on my own.
Whilst dealing with the grief and...
Yeah. It's not... The grief is one thing, the loss is one thing, but trying to put your life back together after that, something like that...
On top of the grief.
Really hard.
Yeah.
And every door seemed to be slamming in my face.
Yeah.
And so for me to have to climb back out of that, I don't have any family, I don't have children, so to do it on my own it's been really, really hard. So my only regret is I really wish that, you know, I'd found something like this sooner. I don't think you were actually running sort of 7 years ago, but...
But you did amazingly to come.
Yeah, it was hard for me because I'd shut myself away, and COVID didn't help as well. That kind of
everyone else was in the same boat as you because of COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I guess in a way, did it make you feel the same, a
Of
little
all
bit
people,
similar to everyone else?
Of all people, I was probably more prepared than everybody else for the isolation.
Yeah, you were already doing it.
Yeah, so I was already doing it because people weren't knocking on my door saying, oh, are you okay? You know, how's things? Can I get you this? Can I get you that? I was already having to fend for myself.
Yeah.
So to actually come here and find out who I am, because I'm still not sure.
That's an incredible testimonial.
After all these years,
story.
I don't I still wake up sometimes in the morning and think, oh God, another bloody day.
Even now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, but sorry, I didn't mean this to be a sob story.
No,
but,
it's good.
But I just want people
And
to
then-
understand.
Then you hear the
how-
rat scratching and you think, I've got to get up and deal with that rat that's dead on my floor again. What's the latest with the rats?
I haven't heard anything, touch wood.
Oh, good.
So, yeah. So I have to say, in case anybody didn't hear one of the other podcasts, I woke up one morning to find a rather large rat on my bedroom floor.
No.
about 6 feet,
Six feet?
away from
Oh,
where
yeah,
I
let
was
me
sleeping.
find
Oh, not 6 foot long.
No. it was from nose to tail. Nose to tail. It was nose to bottom.
Big so-and-sos,
No,
aren't they?
nose to bottom. It was
Yeah.
that plus the tail.
Yeah.
And
That's
it
a
was
biggie.
it was huge. It was absolutely huge.
Wow.
But luckily, it had already expired on some magazines, so I managed to don my long leather gloves I use for gardening, put my face mask on and my goggles.
There you go, Phil. I'm
And-
showing you the photo now.
Oh, you've kept it.
My God.
John keeps everything.
My God.
So I
Pass
just
it
wrapped
round.
it up in the
Are you
magazine.
sure that's a rat? I think that's the next one up. Next one up on the rat, isn't it?
It's like a fox in it.
So
It's a biggie.
At least they had the good grace to die on a bit
On
of
some
newspaper. so you
magazines,
could
yeah.
lift
I think it
out.
overate and expired. It's a biggie.
Well, I was eating your stones, wasn't it?
Shock. So so anyway, coming back to Oasis and stuff, it's just
Yeah.
people don't know about it, and I wish they knew more, because there are people out there that still need rescuing.
It was
you know?
fallen to charities to do,
Sonia,
wasn't it?
that's just how I feel. If anyone's
Yeah.
listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
long shot, I know, and is in that situation, please try and seek some help. There's people out here who really wanted to help you. We just don't know where you are. We can't get to you.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
COVID or not, isolation, I think, is the worst battle as a society that we
Yeah.
have to face in 21st century.
Yeah.
And it has to do with many aspects of life, and doesn't matter if you think that you are fine and I'm working, right? You're working 8 hours a day. What are you doing afterwards?
Oh, no, work
You know,
doesn't.
I mean, work doesn't replace the communication, doesn't replace the people. We are social creatures. We need to communicate.
Yeah,
We need to
very
have.
much.
We need to exchange ideas. You know.
I
that's
agree.
one
There's a
thing.
difference between being alone and being lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, there's empathy. That's what you need. Yeah.
Empathy, sympathy.
Yeah.
You know.
But you can choose to be alone. To
Well,
be
there's that-
lonely, you
there's
can be
that too.
lonely amongst.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
makes
it's just an
people-
acknowledgement. It's just an
Yeah.
acknowledgement of you know, you count, you're valued, you're still, regardless of what's happened to you in your life or what you've done or whatever, you still need that that undivided sort of sense of being a person, being
You've
in
done
some
so
kind
much, Sonia. Incredible amounts. Unbelievable.
I
Like,
don't know.
Orders of
I'm
magnitude more than what I've done. How
I'm
you could
still-
possibly think you haven't done is beyond me.
Yeah, well, as I said, that's like my old life,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
still trying to create a new life for
Okay.
myself, which has been really hard.
The new improved
So-
Sonia.
Pardon?
The new improved Sonia.
Well, I hope so.
Mark II.
I hope so. But one thing I will say to anybody that has been through a really rough time, and I've been speaking to some bereaved people recently, they've all lost their husbands or wives or whatever, is that even if you've got children that come through this, it makes you a better person. You have a greater understanding of not only of yourself but other people around you.
Sure.
It opens up your heart to other people.
To the depths of other people's
Yeah.
suffering, doesn't it? You
Mm.
see
And-
you
Well,
you get
experience
to know
it
And
yourself.
you never know
Oh, God.
what's going on behind those eyes.
Yeah.
Going, you know, people say, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm doing really, really well." It's come back to what you said about, you know, you really don't know.
No,
So
we wear masks.
yeah,
different masks.
we all do.
depending.
We all do
The
it.
ones that say
Sometimes you-
fine don't want to talk about it because
Yeah.
they want to bat it away and like,
Exactly.
not address their emotions or the stuff that they might
Yeah,
potentially be.
sometimes you have to wear that mask just to get through the
Yeah.
day. You have to do it. But when you actually start to live it and you realise that actually that's the only thing that people are seeing and they want to see. That's the only thing they want to see. They actually don't want to know about, you know, if you're doing all right or not, because it's impinging on them. So to come to a place where, as you say, you can be yourself, it's totally non-judgmental, is such a valuable resource. And until you've actually been through it yourself, until you've actually experienced it yourself, you really don't know what it's actually like to be in that situation.
The other thing that Colin says as well is it's prehab and rehab, so it's to stop people going down potentially routes that they might do if they're bored or if they're not being stimulated artistically or creatively, and then they might drink and take drugs and stuff like that. It's giving them something to do, regular place to be, you know, routine and stuff in their lives to do everything and just to keep them mentally healthy.
But those people who might be at risk,
Yeah.
there are links between certain characteristics and falling into addiction.
Boredom is one of
Yeah.
the worst
Yeah.
things, especially in recovery.
If
You just
someone-
get bored and you think,
If someone is maybe a victim of domestic violence, if someone is not got a stable home, so maybe they're homeless or, you know, their housing is quite, it's not permanent.
I would prefer to call it houseless,
Houseless rather than
Because-
homeless, yeah.
because house is not always a home.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
I think that's one of the reasons that 18 to 25-year-olds are targeted on our Friends2Gether project, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
they're one of the most at-risk
Yeah.
age groups of going down maybe crime or drinking or drugs because of boredom and not having anything to do around here.
Yeah.
and pressure from society as well.
Yeah.
You know, society teaches you that you should be a certain way or have achieved something by a certain age or continue achieving. So then you feel a bit lost. Doesn't matter what age you are, you can feel lost and embarrassed. And
Well, you can be lost in different environments as well, EJ,
Yeah.
can't you? I remember when I discovered Nirvana and music like that, I remember thinking I don't fit in with anyone. I was lost and I found my place in that music. But then within that music, again, I found myself feeling isolated and lonely within that group as well because, it wasn't feeding what I needed because there was, I don't know how to explain it really. The metal and rock, I still felt as lonely as I did before, but within the context of that music kind of thing. So it meant it was an internal thing with me rather than an external thing, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't quite hitting the...
No.
It was a palliative, but it wasn't...
Yeah, I found it as judgmental and as restrictive and as, I don't know what the words are, as not being in that environment kind of thing. All the things I was battling to get away from, I found that they had elements of that within that culture as well, if that makes sense.
And you know, when the loneliness hits you for many reasons, I mean, it's so easy to go spiral down, and to start, you know, going into the inner depth of yours, and it's a two-way thing, always, a relationship, human relationship, and human contacts and everything. It's a two-way thing. But when you have a trauma inside you, then you start putting barriers, limitations, and more barriers. So you become kind of, if you want to call it, antisocial. So the antisocial behavior is fueled by your own isolation, by your own
Absolutely.
Adapted characteristics, isn't it? So the one thing that you're trying to protect against, you're kind of forcing on yourself because you're putting up all these barriers against isolation and being on your own. But then I need to be on my own, I need to be isolated, and you're becoming the one thing that you're trying to protect against, aren't you, really? Self-perpetuating myth, isn't it, really?
A self-perpetuating reality, not a myth. Yeah. Sorry.
I still do it now. I still, you know, sometimes in the morning or in the afternoon when I wake up, I just can't face the world. So I sleep. That's my way of dealing with it. It's not, you know, it's not healthy. It's not right. But it's my coping mechanism, I suppose, just for shutting the world out.
Dreaming up another day.
Just to try and just get through the day you can, and just to shut it out. I suppose.
I don't mean to pry, but I mean, when you say you can't get up, what is it you're worried about that might happen if you did get up, sort of thing?
I don't know.
Apart from standing on a dead rat.
Yeah.
That would put anyone off. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just a lot of energy, isn't it, to have to face the day?
Just to put the impulse into...
Yeah. I say to people when they're like, because being bereaved as well is exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. What people don't realise is that there's actually a physical change that's happening in your body that's responding to the trauma. You have cortisol and adrenaline in your body, and it's a chemical change, it's a physical change in your body that happens, and it takes time for it to dissipate.
Sort of settle out. Yeah.
Some people need medication to help fight it, or to try and balance those chemicals in your body.
Some people self-medicate.
Yes, and
drink
people
drugs.
and they might drink. I have to
Eating
say,
as well.
I actually went off alcohol completely, because I felt that if I wasn't able to function, if I wasn't able to get in my car and drive and go shopping and get food in, nobody else is going to do it for me. So I had to keep a straight head the whole time.
Straight edge.
Yeah. So, so it's people just don't realise that, sometimes even just getting out of bed, having a shower, having something to eat, that's a good day.
That's why routine and structure is so important to addicts, because they need to have somewhere to go, something to do, something to focus on, something to do tomorrow, next Wednesday.
Yes.
Like they always need something to, rather than just having
something in your diary,
endless emptiness to nothing to focus on.
Exactly. And even if it's just living from one day to the next, or even just a week, just having something in your diary, as you say, to look
break
forward
it down
to.
to the minute. I'm going to get through the next minute. I'm going to get through 10 minutes. I'm going to get through half an hour. I'm going to get through an hour, and something like that. You break it down into smaller, manageable tidbits.
Yeah.
And that's hopefully what some of our groups offer.
Yeah.
Oasis is that structure and that routine. The groups can become part of your everyday routines. And don't have to commit. That's one of the ideas is it's non-committal. So if you don't fancy it one week, if you wake up and you're having that day, you don't have to let anyone know. We don't mind. You don't have to let us know you're coming in advance. So
and we're not going to be all over you. We're not going to say, where were you yesterday?
No. We don't hold you to account. We don't make you sign up in advance so you feel pressure that you have to come.
They're just free drop-in groups.
It's if you're around, if you want to come, if you need it.
I'm sure Robert won't mind me saying he travels from quite far away. Just for a 2-hour group, it probably takes him 2 hours in travelling, but he likes the whole process of knowing that he's got that to go to, and he's going to get up and he's going to get the bus, and he's going to change here, and he's going to have some dinner in the cafe before he comes, and then come to the group with us, and then travel home afterwards. He likes the whole structure of the day of having something to do, because otherwise he's just sat at home doing nothing, isn't he? So he really gets a lot out of it.
One day can so easily drift into the next, and you don't realise it. And before you realise it, another week has gone or a month has gone, and you actually haven't spoken to anybody.
Oh dear.
It's just, it's...
Do you have a positive narrative with yourself, do you think, or a negative?
I do try.
Narrative? Yeah.
I do try and be positive and say, come on, pull yourself together.
It's not that easy.
It's not that easy.
Got a good Sonia and a bad Sonia whispering in your ear.
No, but it does. It also brings, I'm sure other people feel this, it also brings into thought that you were only strong because of somebody else being there to support you. And you think, well, no, I haven't actually changed that much. My character's still quite strong, but you've lost that safety net.
Stronger, if anything.
So having somewhere like Oasis, where you have got people that are non-judgmental, it's it's that safety net that I think a lot of people really need.
Perfectly named charity as well.
Self-doubt can be very harmful.
Very destructive. Yeah, very, very destructive.
Oh, I suffer from that big time. Like the weekends, sometimes I won't go out. I'm like, I'm not going to go out tonight. I'm not feeling good about myself. I don't like the way I look and stuff like that. Quite often and then your voice says, just stay in, sit down, just watch telly on your own.
Yeah, you've
put
got
a
the little
YouTube
voices
video
on your
on.
shoulder.
And then your friends are encouraged. You could just come out and you're like, and you've got this other voice saying, no, you'd be all right. Just you don't want to go out and people will be looking at you and judging you. Just stay in, watch a YouTube video, get some food, take away, and just, lock yourself away from it.
And that's important sometimes to realise that you need to have some time to yourself. But
sometimes you win and sometimes the little voice wins, doesn't it? I think that's the battle that we all have.
Yeah, but have time to yourself for the right reasons.
For the right reasons, absolutely, for the right reasons. So when you know you need a break, and you know you need some time to yourself, that's important. To get away from other things, that's when you...
I think you can tell when, if you're rushing around like a blue-ass fly all the time, like doing this, that, you're going to work and you're going to there after work, and then the next day you're going, and you never have any time to process your thoughts or anything. That's when I feel sort of stressed and sort of under pressure, and I kind of have a bit of a, give myself a Chinese burn, moment. And sometimes, every now and again, I need to have a day where I just do nothing. I don't really speak to my family, I don't speak to my friends, I don't go out, I just sit and collect my thoughts, put my ducks in a row, I think they call it, and then you put your ducks in a row.
I heard you call that before, it's a good analogy.
Sort of working out what you've done in the week and why you did that and where you want to go next kind of thing. It's kind of just putting your ducks in a row.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, so sometimes it's healthy. If you want to be alone, sometimes it's healthy to,
Absolutely.
to spend some time with yourself.
So I mean, definitely. Every now and again I have to have a day on my own.
But if we're talking about something that you see that is not exactly what you want, and you feel really isolated, and that's not your choice anymore.
That's the root of anxiety, That's like a lot of people attribute it to. If you're going down a route or a path which you know is wrong, and you're going against one of your basic fundamental ethics or your morals, and that's where anxiety is rooted, because you know you should be doing something about it, but you're letting yourself get carried down this wrong path, and you're not consciously saying, you know what, this is not going to be good for me, this person that I'm seeing or the way they've been treating me, it's not good for me, but I'm just letting it go, or I'm not doing anything about it. And that's where the root of anxiety comes from, because you're betraying your ethics and your inner soul, aren't you, basically? And as I say, there's a lot of people that write about that say that's where the root of anxiety comes from.
But there's also, like you mentioned, EJ, about the pressure of society.
Yeah.
We're all believed, you've got to keep busy, you've got to keep doing this, you've got to have things on your CV, you've got to, account for every single space or every gap in your CV.
And with social media, that's just even getting worse.
I was just going to say, imagine the younger generation.
And
TikTok.
not to show weakness.
You can see that people going on these holidays and having these perfect lives. We didn't have access to that information beforehand. Like, you wouldn't have known what your friend from school 50 years ago was doing, but now I can see my friends, I can see what they've been up to. I wouldn't have kept in touch with any of them really. Obviously a handful of people, but not to the extent now that you can see, and that puts pressure on you.
It's amplified on social media. Even back in my day, like your friends would go, I'm on a diet, or I'm eating healthy, I'm going to the gym because I want to get my bikini body, and it being like January, February, in September I'm going to Ibiza for 2 weeks, and so you're changing your whole life just to go and impress a load of strangers who don't even know what you look like beforehand anyway. It always used to tickle me that they're doing that, but that now it's amplified on TikTok and social media, isn't it? That you need to look like this, you need to have lips like this, you need to have eyebrows like this. If you don't look like this, you're ugly. Who's deciding what's ugly?
Because they're selling insecurity.
They are.
They're selling fear.
They're selling the products as well, aren't they?
But you have to sell fear to instill in people to be
I
able to sell the products that you want.
Or that lipstick.
The beauty of individualism, each one of us has his own beauty.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So why do I have to be a sheep and follow, what the mainstream, if I can use that terminology, what the mainstream people do?
Absolutely, you just reminded me. That's why I didn't feel comfortable in that the culture of the punk rock culture, because there was all these rules that I thought it was this free space, and there's all these rules. You've got to have hair like this, and you've got to wear that plaid shirt, and you've got to wear Converse shoes, and it becomes a uniform, and there's no individuality within those subcultures, which used to made me feel even more lost and isolated, because I thought you can't really be yourself, and you can't be individual even in those subcultures, because they've got all their rules and their you have to look this way, and you have to speak this, and you have to listen to that band, and you have to do, there's lots of rules. I thought it'd be a free space, but it was lots of restrictive rules even within that subculture. So good point, Em. Right, we've got 10 minutes to go, so usually like to finish off with our mindfulness teaser, don't we? So we've done 1 to 7, I believe, and number 27's gone as well, and number 34 I think we chose, didn't we? I remember thinking I think Jesus, how old was Jesus when he died? Was he 33 or 34? 33. So would you like to... Allegedly. Well, we can debate that on another podcast.
Other religions are available.
So, Sonia, would you like to choose a number?
Oh, crikey. I don't know.
From 7 to 99.
7
excluding
to 99?
27 and 33.
Oh, I don't know, 56.
56. So we have got...
Because 7 9s are 56.
This is very apt for you, Sonia.
Oh,
56. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Oh, God. I never want to grow up. I might get old, but I'm never
Peter
going to
Pan
grow
syndrome.
up.
Believe it or not, this is an adult's mindfulness website, but I don't know what they mean by that.
Did you have, when you were younger, was there something you wanted to be? Could we do it like that?
Yeah, let's frame it like that. So when you were at
I have
school...
a really funny one for this, by the way.
Okay, will you go first?
Okay. When I was about 3 years old...
We're going that far back, are we?
Yeah. I didn't have a clue what I wanted to be when I grew up after I was 3 years old, but when I was 3 years old, I really, really wanted to be a lollipop lady.
Oh, wow.
To help
You can
others.
still achieve
still
those.
can.
Yeah, when
You
you're
still
retired,
can.
you can
I loved
move into that.
The lollipop lady at my school, and I always wanted to be
Can
her.
you remember her name? How much did you love her?
No, can't remember her name.
She had that
I think
much
she still
impact
does
on
it.
you.
I think she still does it.
Really?
But I really, really wanted to do that. There you go.
I wanted to be a policeman when I was at school, believe it or not.
Oh.
But in those days, you had to be 6 foot tall when I wasn't tall enough.
That's what my
I
mum
remem-
always says.
I
She
remember
wanted
going
to
into
do
the
that.
careers advisor saying, I want to be a policeman. They're like, well, you can't because you're not 6 foot. And then after that, I had nothing to give. I was like, I don't know what I want to do then. I felt completely lost. I don't know why I wanted to be a policeman. I think it's just because I like the Bill, the TV programme. That's nothing more, nothing less. I thought it'd be quite cool darting around in a car like Carver and Burnside or whatever, catching criminals and stuff.
Oh, no. Funny enough, when I was 7, I wanted to do what most kids wanted to be, which was a vet,
Yeah,
to look
vet's
after
good.
kids. And then when I was a bit older, I wanted to be a spy.
A spy?
Yeah, I don't know why. I wanted to be a spy, and I'd already worked out I could have a cover by working in the kennels, so I could take a dog with me when I was off.
You'd be
spying
screwed
on
with your
people.
hair, wouldn't you? I want to recognise you like Curly Sue over there.
But we don't know whether you became a spy because you wouldn't tell us.
She's done all these other things. She might actually still be the spy.
Oh dear. It's funny actually because I've seen some adverts. You go through like job things on a website.
Wanted
and you
spy.
see, like MI5 and things, and they say, well, if
Really?
you apply,
They used to advertise for it on ITV. I was obviously missed that. I was watching the Bill and then going to the toilet in the
Yeah.
adverts, and you were getting the MI5 adverts.
Yeah, and if you apply for this job, you're not allowed to tell anybody about it. And I'm thinking,
wow.
oh wow, that's a bit. Yeah.
Otherwise, they kill you.
I don't
know. Just think what you could have achieved if you had gone through with that vet degree.
Yeah.
You could have saved that rat.
Oh.
A bit of CPR on the floor there. Bring it back to
dear.
life.
No, that was definitely an ex-rat.
Yeah. EJ, what did you want to be when you grew up? Can you remember when you were a little girl?
I suppose when I was
Apart from in the craze.
No. I suppose when I was young, because I went to stage school, I wanted to be a dancer.
Bonnie Langford.
No, not
Bonnie
Bonnie
Langford.
but
She was Scottish, wasn't she? Was she Scottish? She's got a
No.
Scottish name. You couldn't get a more Scottish name than
She-
Bonnie
I don't
Langford,
think
could
so.
you?
She
That
was
may be a
English.
stage name, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I suppose I wanted, I grew up watching musicals with Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire, so I suppose that's what I wanted.
I used to
when
love
was very
watching
young.
them. When my nan was in like a respite home towards the end of her days, I used to go around and watch all the old 1950s films of Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire and that. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Some of them. The acting and how beautiful they were in those days. It used to blow my mind that these women could be so beautiful in like 1940s and 1950s. And even by today's standards, they were just so stunningly attractive, weren't they? I suppose they were the movie stars of their day, but they're sick. They're acting
But they were
and
made to
singing and
look like
dancing.
that.
Oh,
Again, we go
man,
back
yeah.
to the fakeness.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, they.
Yeah.
I mean, Rita Hayworth, what was a Latino.
Well, look at the lyrics.
They made her look
Of Candle in the Wind,
white,
which we sing at jamming group, EJ.
and red hair.
It's got all what they did to Marilyn to try and make her more
It's an
beautiful.
illusion.
Yeah, but yeah, those films are great, aren't they? Just
Yeah.
the musical theatre. They'll just break into song and dance in the middle of a film.
Yeah,
aren't
and
they?
everyone knows the
it's awesome.
dance.
What did you want to be when you grew up? If you have grown up yet, can we say if you've grown up, are you still hoping to get there one day?
I'm still hoping to get there one day.
Me too. Me and you both, kid.
I'm too young for
Yeah.
that, for those discussions.
Can you remember what you wanted to be though when you?
Yeah, I had an interest in sociology, and at the end, I didn't. When I was like 17 years old, through sociology, I started having interest in economics, so I studied economics.
Do you want to take over the world?
No,
pretty much.
No, the opposite.
You were to bring down the world. You were to understand the system so they could break it down from within. Perfect. You do surprise me. Phil, can you remember?
I think you just saw what was around you, so I probably thought a teacher.
A recorder teacher.
Well, yeah. I mean, which would have lasted just as long as I was stood in front of the class, and then that would have rapidly dispelled on.
Did you ever want to be a teacher?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. Were you a teacher? You might have been a teacher for all I know.
I've never tried to teach somebody who didn't want to learn. Oh, that's not quite true, because at work sometimes you had to sort of mentor people who really didn't want to be there, but at least they had a bit of an incentive, like to keep their job, so you had some power there. Yeah. Which you probably haven't with a class full of children. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess after the police thing, I kind of stumbled into music after that. So because I felt lost and alone in the world, that's when I discovered music, and I guess it's led me to where I am today. So I guess I am doing what I was meant to be doing, I guess.
Nice.
That concludes another podcast. Would you like to remind people, Molly, what the Friends2Gether project?
You made me do this at the beginning of the podcast.
I just cut and paste it.
No, cut and paste it. No, but thank you everyone for sharing today. It was
Yes,
really, really nice podcast.
Beautifully open.
Yeah, it was a really nice podcast. So thank you. Just want to say that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We best go around and say goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, Phil.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
EJ.
Have a good day.
Got any Australian? Yeah, good day, mate. Sonia.
Cheerio and take good care, everybody.
That's Jerry Springer special, isn't it? Take care of yourselves and each other. And Molly.
See you later.
See you later, mate. I've got to do Australian. Goodbye.
The Let's Be Frank podcast is brought to you by the Oasis Partnership, a charity providing high-quality social and psychological support services to improve people's mental health and well-being. We deliver socially inclusive, open-access support for the wider communities of Buckinghamshire through pioneering and innovative partnerships and initiatives. Oasis provides free and subsidised health and wellbeing classes and support groups for the Chiltern area, including mindfulness, yoga, fitness, art and music. Oasis also helps support people to reach their full potential through our substance misuse treatment service, Routes to Work and outreach service. The Oasis Substance Misuse Treatment Service is provided in partnership with Inclusion, part of Midlands Partnership NHS Foundation Trust, delivering 1 recovery bucks. The Let's Be Frank podcast was launched in tribute to the memory of long-term Oasis patron and world-renowned cinematographer Frank Hodge, and is recorded in the Frank Hodge Podcast Studio, our new community podcasting facility launched in his honour.